Hello and welcome to the 2020 Black Women in Media Conference and Awards. I'm your moderator, Oni Higgins, and we're here at the marketing panel. Joining me, we have Danielle Reed, and she's the executive director of DR and Associates. And we also have Lamecca Iomi Grace, and she is the founder of Grace Perfection, which is a digital marketing agency. Thank you, ladies, for joining me today.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
having
having us.
Of course. So, I want to start out this year. Our theme is pivot. And, we've definitely had to pivot in almost all aspects of lives this year with quarantining in the middle of a pandemic. So, tell me, what does this word mean to you, and in what ways have you had to pivot in your career? I'll start with you, Danielle.
So for me, actually, during COVID-19, especially, a lot of my current clients, they were already online. It was this sort of wave where people now saw, oh, I actually need to get a website. I need to have a website that people can find and things like that. And so for me, I actually saw my business increase under COVID. I would say that even, professionally, being, doing social distancing, not being able to, return to what we know is normal, it kind of made me sit down and reflect on what I needed to do for not only others in business, but for my own business as well. And so I think for me, this has just been a really great time of growth, and growth has continued steadily, as I celebrated my official 1 year, in business for myself. So
Congratulations.
thank you. But for me, it's just been seeing steady growth, and then of course showing the impact and the results that people can get if they do their business effectively and have effective marketing. And this really has been what has helped me through this time.
Nice. And Lamecca, what about you? What ways have you pivoted within your career?
Well, pivoting definitely this year, like you said, it has affected people in every industry, in every area of our lives, professionally as well as, individually. And for me, what it's meant is um, in the areas of business, a lot of my clients did already have websites, but they realized the importance of not just having a website, but actually having a means to drive traffic to the website, because if it's just sitting there, it's no one's ever going to see it. So we put together very effective strategies of driving traffic, and they've even amped up their advertising. And that was the most important thing, is getting their face and their brand in front of their prospective customers and doing it effectively to where it would convert into sales and more business. So it's been very life changing for me. Even personally, I've taken a lot of time out to be more introspective on the vision of my business. This past October, I celebrated 10-year anniversary of my business full time entrepreneurship. So it was time for me to sit back and reflect. Thank you. On where I want to take my business. Am I doing everything that is meaningful to me, that I feel is within my purpose? With life changing so rapidly, it's like, okay, things could change immediately. So I want to make sure that I'm in purpose. And even if I have to make adjustments or swerve or, whatever change that needs to be made, I have to do it and make sure that I'm, staying focused on that.
Of course, yeah, we did lose a lot of life during this time, but it also was a little bit of a blessing that we got to stand still and, really think and get the mental space and be able to maybe chase our passions a bit. It's not the 9 to 5, maybe 9 to 9, we get to work on
Yeah.
what we actually want to do. So that's something I mean, I think that's one good thing that definitely came out of it. And the Buy in Black initiative, I know that both of you guys kind of mentioned this a little, how business definitely boomed during this time. We've seen a lot of people supporting Black businesses. What was that like for you and your companies? Any one of you could do
Yeah, so for me, I kind of specialize like in diversity and multicultural marketing. So I found where a lot of companies, in which I'm that person, I kind of hold them to what they say. If you say, so many people released statements this year saying they wanted to see, minorities equal on the playing field and things like that. It's like, okay, if you say that you want to do that, let me see who, if you're outsourcing your marketing to a third party, who are you utilizing? Did you even consider a minority or, Black owned firm? And then from there, just your overall vendors. And so, even trying to reach more of not only just trying to get Black dollars, but are you putting money back into the hands of Black women, Black men, Latinx? Are you putting that money back into those communities where it's needed the most? And so for me, I actually had and that's where most of my business came from, was that so many organizations saw, hey, we need to reach these people and we don't know how to do it. And I think for me, that was a big step, because you have so many firms out there who will not admit that they do not know how to market to, minorities. And for me, even just someone being able to come to me and say, hey, we have a contract that's worth X, Y, and Z, it's like, that's a big thing, because in turn, that money is going to turn around. I'm going to hire more people that look like me to give them an opportunity, and then create that position at the table so that we can have that equal playing field.
Nice. And what about you on that?
I really feel that it helped me to help my clients to really define what their branding message was, what they wanted to communicate to their audience, especially in this tumultuous time of uproar and division. And I felt that they needed to make a stand and they needed to communicate that message to their audience. And I help them in that respect, so that they can really fine tune it so that it can be very effective in the marketplace, and not just a matter of trying to sell their product services, but actually setting them aside and identifying who their identity and their brand is. So it's been it's been a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Great. So you ladies both have a plethora, so much experience in the marketing industry. Just talk to me on, how do you get to where you are? Like, what steps did you take to?
I used to work for the Orlando Sentinel in the marketing department, and I realized that I already knew that I've always been an entrepreneur, but I needed to do it full time. So that's when I launched off 10 years ago to do it full time. And the thing that helps me throughout the years is learning, more importantly, especially as a business owner, having employees and having a lot of customers that depend on you, to step back sometimes and take time for myself. Sometimes you can be pulled in so many different directions and have so many more responsibilities and people depending on you, that you sometimes neglect yourself in the process. So taking time out for myself to make me better in every respect allowed me to be better even for my clients and employees.
Nice. And what about you, Dana?
So for me, it's kind of funny. I kind of fell into marketing. So professionally, I was a data scientist, and I still am. That's my official title. And so getting into that, I started to realize the connection between data and marketing. I was recruited actually to work for a big six agency, and I came in as a marketing analyst. That was actually my first role. And so I ended up moving up into senior management with that big six agency, stayed in that role for about 14 years, but I never could break the glass ceiling. The thing that kind of drove me to full-time entrepreneurship was that I would, I said, okay, well, let me try a couple of different things. I said, well, maybe it's just the agency world. I said, let me try the corporate side. Same thing, white male dominated. And I'm looking at these people like, okay, I have more, experience than you, more education than you, even just being able to look at, okay, well, why are they hired for a director position, but you want to hire me as only a manager? And so for me, it was not more necessarily of a frustration, but knowing where I wanted to go, knowing that that straight 9 to 5 and not being able to put all of my ideas out there for implementation wasn't getting me what I needed. And so for me, I literally sat down one day and I was like, you know what? Let me plan out what my next steps are. And I really just prayed on it and said, God, I don't want to do this anymore. Make a way. And literally on October the 1st of 2019, he made a way. And it was the most refreshing thing ever to be able to say, it was scary, but it was the most refreshing thing ever to be able to say, okay, I'm about to start my own agency. But, I look back at it like it was something I should have done full time years ago because of the experience that I have and because I couldn't break that glass ceiling because we don't always get that opportunity to. Or I didn't want to waste so much of my time, so much of my energy, so many of my years trying to get through that glass ceiling and never be able to break it.
Nice. Well, we love to see you, ladies, for sure. You mentioned breaking the glass ceiling. How, as Black women, we're often overlooked for opportunities. People with less qualifications, less experience, less education, they're getting these opportunities and we're not. Talk to me on what are some obstacles that you had to triumph over within the industry, within your career?
Some of the things I've had to overcome is because I'm a minority business owner, or I don't even like saying the word minority, but I am an African American business owner. Sometimes when it comes time to competing with business from other companies, you really have to stand out above the rest. And I believe that a lot of times your work will stand for itself, even when there are other proposals on the table. I realized that a lot of the competition isn't so much on the outside as much as it is on the inside. And when I took off the blockers, well, put on the blockers and said, you know what, I don't have any other competition. I'm following in my purpose, my individual purpose from God, doing exactly what He tells me to do and walking in that path, opportunities just started coming, and it just becomes a flood. Sometimes to the place where it's more than you can handle, and you're asking God for wisdom on, okay, what do I do next? What's the next step? Who do I need to hire? And just getting in that place to kind of blocks out those obstacles, and it's more so work within yourself of what needs to be done to take yourself to the next level. And I found that that has been very effective for me.
Nice. It's like you're walking in it now.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I know, like for me, especially when I tell my story about, okay, I'm a mother, I'm a military wife, I've worked for the military, being able to put those different things out there. And just like even right now, kind of showing that balance that you're a real person. Because oftentimes in the corporate world, even if you're not a Black woman, as a woman, you're looked at as being sensitive. So, say for instance, I've worked in places where they told us, oh, we can't have pictures of our children, or they framed against it. And I'm like, okay, why? But for me, it's been more about just like, the thing about, getting too busy and then having to pray, saying, okay, God, what do I do next? Who do I hire next? Who can I help? But I think that that's all part of the journey and part of being successful and reaching back to help someone else. Because as business owners, we get that opportunity to reach back and help others and pull them into what we have and to show them, hey, it's possible. Even if you don't break the glass ceiling in corporate America, you can make a way. And I think that that's the most important thing that we have to remember.
Yes. So just tell me, what advice would you have for other women, other females who want to break into the marketing industry? What do they need to do?
I would say be coachable, be open, be willing to learn, take every opportunity that you can. Even if you don't find anyone in the workplace who's willing to help you, take it to the next level. Find you a mentor outside of the marketing industry. Of course, I specialize kind of in marketing and communications. So I kind of see both different, I kind of work with different sides of it. But, my mentor ended up being in a totally different industry, but she's a serial entrepreneur. So sometimes just be willing to be coachable, be willing to learn, and just always be willing to take in new knowledge because, you have to look at it as Black women. We're the most educated group of people in the US. And that speaks a lot about our willingness and dedication. I was in the process of getting 2 dual master's degrees at once, while raising a family. And that's in full time. So that's not anything that's really easy, but the determination that you have, that's what's going to set you apart. So just always be willing to learn and be also willing to be honest with who you are. One of the main mistakes that I see people make is that they make promises that they know they can't keep to people. And so be realistic, with, hey, these are my capabilities. Or even if you're just starting off and you don't have that experience, letting them know, hey, I don't really have that experience, but I'm willing to learn. And that's going to make all the difference in your career.
And that's super important. What about you,
Yeah.
Lametta?
I really agree with what Danielle said. Having a mentor in whether it's in your industry or like her situation where it wasn't in your industry, I think it's very important because it's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of heartache, a lot of mistakes and pitfalls along the way that you don't necessarily have to experience. Having someone that can speak into your life and that can speak into your business and give you wise advice along the way is imperative. Along with that, I would definitely say make sure that, you know, I know that everyone isn't spiritual or may not believe in God, but following God and what purpose He has on the inside of you. And that way, you're not trying to fulfill and do and copy what everyone else is doing. You need to make sure that you're in your lane. And in your lane, there's everything that you possibly could need. And following God's vision and seeking that vision that's on the inside of you. Because once you're fulfilling that, then everything just falls into place.
Nice, nice. So, how important is it for you ladies to see other Black women within your industry? I feel like that's growing. We're seeing a lot more of that from the Black publicists to marketing, even commercials. We're seeing a lot of diversity and inclusion. How important is that within the industry?
It's
So for
very
me,
important. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
it's very important. And coming from, like working for a big six agency, I really didn't see people on the level that looked like me. Even this event, the Black Women Media, I never knew it existed until I decided to deep dive into, connecting with more women and more organizations that look like me. Because oftentimes we're going to say it's on a planning committee or we're going doing a strategy meeting. I would be the only person that looked like me in the room. Um, and so even just, being able to see other Black women being able to do what we do and, not be, I think now we're seeing more Black women who are not afraid to step out there and do it on their own. Or like me, their story, they never put their story out there because they were so used to being in the background. My work was always, I was never given credit for my work. It was always my account director, but I was the person who was running everything in the background. And so I think now it's more about you all are going to see us. You're going to know that we're the creators behind this, and you're going to respect us for our work and know that we're contributing to such crucial areas of everything, in entertainment, as publicists, in marketing, in communications, because we don't just live in a world just with, one set of one race. And it's like you have to be able to connect with these people. And we are offering that insight into how to connect with women, how to connect with people of color. So I think to me, I enjoy seeing it. I enjoy connecting with other women, just hearing their stories. And especially when they say, oh, I've decided to take that jump and become an entrepreneur and put my story out there. I'm always, cheering them on and, looking for their story and sharing it with others because I want them to do the same with me.
Amazing. And Lamecca, I know you had something to say too.
Oh yeah, like I said, I really feel that it's very important, and it's good to see and to connect and collaborate with other Black women that are in a variety of industry or even in your same industry. I've learned that you can partner on different projects or different things that you don't have the expertise and pass on to your sister, and us coming together because a lot of times as Black people in general, we tend to have that, label that we're like crabs in a bucket. And it's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. And I think that a lot of time, especially nowadays, I'm seeing that a lot of that mentality is being crushed, and I'm loving it. And people are actually working together. We're coming together, we're joining together, and we're seeing the power that we have in unity as opposed to, being divided. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, well, now our VP elect is a Black woman, so we walking different, we talking different, we're different, everything. So talk to me, if you had one word to describe your career, what would that be? We're gonna shake it up a little bit.
It's a good question. Um, One word that would I you would use to is definitely progressive. Progressive in a sense of um, taking on challenges and obstacles and always overcoming them. Progressive in being innovative and creative and finding new ways to achieve things and always staying on top of what's going on in the industry as well as what's what the marketplace is doing at the time and being able to see ahead and be ahead of the curve. um, and definitely progressive in the areas of growth and even maturity of skills and skill sets. So I would definitely say being aggressive.
I like that. And what about you,
Yeah.
Danielle?
Um, I would say probably for me, I would say determined. Even when I look back, in the corporate world, the projects that I was given, I was that person where if they had a contract where it was almost time for renewal and they knew it wasn't performing well and they needed it to perform well, they would give it to me. They'd be like, look, we need for you to look this over, see what's wrong with it and fix it and help us to retain this contract. And so for me, looking back, at everything that I've accomplished in my career, it just really shows I was determined because I went in, got what needed to be done, passed it on to someone else, and went on to the next project. And so I think that really speaks volume, not only about me as an individual, but me as a leader within the industry as well, because, okay, let me fix this. And then I'm going to also, mentor others for them to be able to know what I did and share that knowledge with them so that they can continue with their greatness.
Nice. So, what resources do you guys have in mind or know that you would like to tell, our viewers, everybody who's going to be tuned in, what they need to do to get started in this industry? Who can they reach out to? What different types of organizations they should get in contact with within the marketing industry? I'll start with you,
Mhm.
Mecca.
Okay. I would say different resources. I would look for meetup groups that are local to their specific area that are in the areas of marketing. Sometimes they're not, and actually, there are sometimes where there are Black individuals. It may not be specifically marketing, but it may be in the areas of media, communication, and looking for different meetup groups where people are collaboratively coming together, for a common goal and they're learning more skill sets. As far as online groups, um, I would say there are a number of people that I follow, like King Ashley, Tiffany Montgomery, uh, Malik Teal. There's a number of people that I follow that I really look up to in the industry and even in different industries that have, I've learned a lot along the way, purchased their courses, even like, well, was it Ty Lopez? You can learn something from pretty much anyone. But I would definitely say go to your online resources, well as those that are in your local area, because a lot of times in this industry where you're constantly like on the computer, it's good to get out. It's good to get out and meet new people, and just build and collaborate.
Nice. And Danielle, do you have anything to add in on it?
I know for me, what I started to do was that I actually looked at organizations like for Black and minority publicists, and then for Black and minority journalists. And in there, I would find people who, did marketing and were able to kind of help me in the industry. I'm not really a big social media person. I know that sounds bad, but I'm that person where I'm so tired from doing stuff from clients. I never focused on my own social media. But I found a couple of like Facebook groups where, it's other people who live, around the world, where you're able to share information with them, and you're able to learn off of each other. I think that's the most important thing. And, just like, I think, not necessarily, if you're that person, you feel like I don't want to buy a course or things like that. There are so many online options out there for you, attend, some sessions at some extension schools, that are available and things like that. If you feel like, oh, I don't want to purchase a course. And some people, feel like, oh, I don't feel like I need that. But to me, I also feel like if you want to advance your career, if you want to take those next steps, You don't get that from just, free things. You have to pay for something.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I even tell people, you can't become a millionaire and do it all yourself. So it's the same thought process with when you're starting a business or when you're starting a new career. It's going to take an investment in it for you to see it to pay off. So
Right. And you mentioned social media. That's what I wanted to get to next. I want to know, how much does social media play a role in the marketing industry? Excuse me. We see like Instagram. You have like how they switched it where you can do the shops online now. Like that's genius. Like, just right on your phone, and you're able to market your product, buy the product, get your target audiences, pay promotion on like Facebook. So how important is that? And is this going to be like the new norm, the new way that the industry is going into?
I
You know,
would
this.
say most
Oh, go ahead.
definitely.
So much information coming at once.
Yeah, I would say it most definitely is. I've looked at some people who, I've had some people come to me and they're like, look, I have a website, but I don't know how to drive traffic there. Well, what's on your social media? Um, Social media is just another part of a marketing tool to drive people to purchase. I try to tell people every advantage or every avenue that you see out there, you need to be a part of it. Knowing if you think that you're going to be able to get customers off Instagram, you need to have an Instagram account. You need to have a Twitter account. You need to have a Pinterest. You need to be where your customers are. Otherwise, they don't know where to find you. And so oftentimes, just like speaking to what Lameka said, it's a simple fact on people will have these platforms and don't know how to drive traffic to their website. And even getting them to know, what is your brand voice? Who's your target customer? So many people don't even know everyone isn't your customer. And that's what I tell people all the time. Everyone isn't your customer. You need to know who your customer is and how you're going to reach them. Where are they for you to be able to reach them, and what your messaging should be? Because so many brands I see oftentimes where, they come to me and they're like, I need some help. And I'm like, yeah, you'll have content, but you don't have a call to action. You'll just, it's no uniformity in their post. It's just, oh yeah, I'm just going to post up what I feel like posting up today. Nothing is planned out. Nothing is thought out, and it reflects in your page. And so guess what? When people go to your Instagram page and they're like, oh, okay. But if they go to someone else who you can tell is actually invested into their marketing, they, relied on professionals to help them, they're going to be the ones who are going to be selling because they planned out in advance and because they're using that social media tool to their advantage.
Nice. And what about you, Lameka?
Um, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, online shopping is here to stay, and especially with, I believe that the climate changed dramatically during COVID. Whereas businesses didn't realize the importance of being online, now they do, because not only are people researching, their products and services ahead of time online, but now they're able to purchase it right then and there and have it, sent directly to them, as opposed to even going into the stores. And we've seen that has been more evident now than ever before. So making sure that customers and clients have their online presence in order, and effectively communicating their message to their customers. And like she said, your call to action. You could be posting up a lot of stuff, but if you don't have any direction of what you want people to do once they come to your page, what's the point? What's the point? And just making sure that all of those different parts, not only are in place, but that they're all integrated and working together. Whether it's your social media account, your email marketing campaigns, your website, all of that needs to be working together so that it actually becomes like an employee in itself. And you're just putting in information so that it can actually work for you and make money for you. So, and I would suggest anyone that doesn't know how to do it, it's because there are not only professionals watching, but also those that business owners. Reach out to some marketing agency, and they'll most likely have free material for you to become more familiar with. But ask questions and hire someone. Don't be afraid to hire someone to help you with your social media. Don't think that you could just do it yourself. When you don't know what you're doing. And I see that with a lot of customers. They just doing it themselves. They're having someone that doesn't even know social media, but they're expecting the same results. Like, if marketing and advertising is the blood to any business. I don't care what industry it is. Every business needs effective branding, advertising, and marketing. And if there's any expense that you can't go without, it's that expense, because that's what's going to get the sales and the money into the business. So don't be afraid to invest if you're a business owner, and make sure that you do research and find what works out best for you, because it's important. And understanding your brand identity, and like she said, getting all of your accounts, get all your accounts and reserve them, because a lot of times people lose their name because they weren't proactive to think ahead in advance for growth, and their brand is affected by it.
I think
That,
yeah, to her point, even if you aren't selling on social media, when I first took over as the marketing and advertising advisor for the Navy, the previous older gentleman who was in the position hated social media because he didn't see a need for it. He felt like, oh, it's just something that's going to fly by night. At this point, Facebook had been around maybe for 15 years or whatever. But guess what? He didn't have a social media account. He didn't see a need for it. But it's something that's needed, even if you're just trying to gain leads. Even if you aren't selling, you need social media in your business, no matter what your industry is. If you're a service, if you're a government entity, whatever the case is, you need social media just to expand out your digital footprint. That's one of the main things.
Yeah.
Just expanding it out. It's going to help drive your SEO. So
I have a question. Let's say that hypothetically, I guess I'm a new business owner. I want to start a business, or I want to start a business. What's a good marketing strategy? Like, what's 3 key things that I need to start out? I'm sure everybody will want to know something like that.
What I would say is start off with determining what your products and services are, and who your potential customers are. Who is your target market? Like she said, a lot of business owners don't even know that. They think they know it, but they don't know it. They don't know it. And they're just, aimlessly shooting at whoever will come in. Knowing your target audience and knowing your products and services is the first step. The next portion for your marketing strategy is creating a home for your business, which is your website. You can't depend only on social media. A social media account can be completely shut down at any moment. And what are you going to do? Say you have 1 million customers, and I've seen it happen time and time again, and they don't have a home to where they were sending people to. Make sure that you have a home, which is your website. That's your hub where everything needs to be directed towards. The next portion is making sure that you have measures in place to drive traffic to it. Whether it's your email marketing or your social media accounts or even your outside direct mail pieces. All of that should be driving traffic to your website and your social media accounts, and making sure that all of your customers know who you are, as well as your potential customers know who you are and what you stand for and what products and services you have. It being top of mind whenever someone thinks of needing what you have to offer.
Amazing. Okay. And Danielle, do you have anything to add in on that?
I've seen so many people who start businesses, they'll get a business plan, but they don't have a marketing plan. For me, one of the main things I always talk with my customers through, and when I first started, doing this full time, I would just kind of jump right in and would kind of do, I would just do whatever, a customer asked me for. And I realized I was kind of working myself backwards, because then I'm trying to figure out their strategy in the middle of doing this. And so now when I take on clients, I immediately say we need to do a strategy and a marketing action plan. It's almost as long as a business plan, and it includes, those same things: knowing who your target customers are, creating those brand personas, creating those brand voices, that key messaging, knowing what channels are we going to utilize to reach certain customers. And then, of course, setting actionable goals. So if your goal is going to be, okay, I want to make $80,000 this quarter, okay, how are we going to reach that point? That means this, we need this much in revenue. We need to invest this much in paid ads. We need to invest this much in X, Y, and Z. If you want to do influencers, that's another big part of it. So many people want to use influencers, but they create a fly by night influencer program that goes nowhere. You have to know, if I'm going to use influencers for my brand, how am I going to measure their results? Have I even looked into their social media following to see if it matches my key demographics that I'm looking for in a customer? So things like that, I think it's just really crucial to know, a marketing plan is just as important or more important than your business plan in itself, because for any organization, your marketing and advertising budget is always your number one thing. So that should be where you're spending the majority of your time outside of operations, is knowing this is what's driving traffic. This is what's going to help drive sales.
Nice. So I want to end us off on an inspirational note. So the question is going to be, if you had a piece of advice that you would give to your younger self, what would that be? I'll let you ladies think for a little bit. All right, Lameka, I'll go with you.
I would say I would have told myself to trust more on what's on the inside as opposed to what is being communicated from the outside. A lot of times those outside voices of different people and, trends or whatever can affect how you move. And when you shut that out and focus on the inside, you're really, like I mentioned before, living in purpose. And you are maximizing your time while you're here. So, trusting more on the voice that's on the inside, because that's what's going to take you leaps and bounds further in your vision, and you would know that you're walking in the right path.
Yes, I love that. What about you, Danielle?
I think for me, it would be take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you. Not that I didn't take advantage of them, but it was more on, I didn't realize the impact of some of the things that I did. Like, say for instance, when I was chosen as one of the top 50 people in marketing and communications by Google, I'm such a humble and laid back person. I didn't realize the impact of that. I would have completely utilized that in saying, you know what, I need to push this out there more, even becoming, one of those social media influencers or something like that. And I think for me, it's just realizing the potential that's inside of you. If I would have realized the gift and the talent that I had 10 years ago, I wouldn't have waited so long to start my own business. I wouldn't have been so afraid to put that out there. But it's all about taking a risk and taking a chance. And so I most definitely would have told my younger self, go and do it. You have the talent, you can do it, and you're going to be perfectly fine.
Amazing. So, ladies, let
I
us
love
know where
that.
we can find you. Where can we find your businesses and social media handles, websites, anything like
Mhm.
that? You, oh my God.
Okay. Well, my business website is Graceful Perfection. My social media handles is Lamecca Iamni Grace, as it's spelled below there, with hyphens between the names. Um, and you can find me on there on Instagram, Lamecca_Grace on Twitter. Um, and I'm available. Just DM me or comment, and I'm available. And you could even call me, 407-801-3337, to my business line if you have any questions, especially business owners, about marketing of any sort.
Nice. And what about you, Danielle?
So my personal Instagram is I am Danielle Reed, and spelled just like how my name is. I don't the business, okay, again, we're normally too busy working for clients to get our own things up, but you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at DR and Associates. The website is the same, drandassociates.com. And that's pretty much where you can find me most of the time. I do have a public Facebook page, but I really don't utilize it. I'm more on Instagram when I am on social media when I have the time. And my business contact number is 615-933-3681.
Great. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for all the information, all the knowledge. You guys dropped so many jewels for everyone watching. So I'm sure that they have so much information just for the marketing industry in general. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for all the
Thank
information.
you.
Thank you.
Of
Thank
course.
you.